What is the greatest achievement as a map maker? Is it 1,000 downloads? No. Could it be your map being played by a huge YouTuber? That's impressive, but no. Is it when people make spin-offs of your map? Not quite, although that is pretty great. What about being compared to the best map makers, like Hypixel and FE Disco? There's still greater. What about your map being uploaded to Realms and Marketplace? That is the greatest achievement. But why? You see, Realms and Marketplace are a universal way to have your map be shown to others, supported directly through Mojang or Mojang itself. Nothing could be greater than being supported by the developers of the software that you use. And this is my ambition. Anybody can figure out the first step of submitting a map to Realms. You have to make the map, or choose from a map that you've already made. And I think the best map that we could do is Space Aces. So here we are. But you can't just submit any map to Realms. There's got to be a very high quality to the map, or minigame for that matter. So what about Space Aces? Is that high quality game? Well, what defines high quality? Does it work well? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have very many bugs. I've bug tested it for a long time. Does it interest the player? Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, it's completely unique, if that's what you're asking. But more important question is it clean? Are there a few things that the player can do or see that are just a little bit untidy? And that's a problem for a lot of map makers. Let me see a few examples of this. So, one example of this is that we have a 32 by 32 texture. Now that's kind of, I mean, 32 by 32 textures look nice, but when everything else is 16 by 16, that just doesn't make sense. And now you can see why some parts of this are untidy and just kind of leave a somewhat unfinished feel to the map. Let's look at another example of this that's a little bit more evident. So if you like Duel a lot, you can choose to spectate. And you see, to stop spectating, leave the arena. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what is wrong with spectating is that if you fly just over here, you can see all of the command blocks in redstone. That's just completely unorganized and sloppy. That's such a mess. It's very untidy. So there's a few things we can do to fix this. we'll get to those later. But for now, I'm going to make a list that pretty much has everything that could be tidied or improved. Okay, so I've got my list. I'll read them off to you. So first of all, we could change the settings without having to change your game mode. Currently, you have to swap your game mode in order to change the required players for a certain game mode. Now, that's kind of, that's fine if you can see where to do that, but it's completely hidden. Most players would have no idea. Another thing that we could improve is that we could add spectating to other game modes. Currently it's only in Duel, and that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because Duel is probably the least action-packed game mode. So if you were to improve these two rather simply, you could just add spectating to them. And it would make a more uniform and clean finish to the game as well. Another thing that we could do is write lore for all the characters. Here we've got lore for Haley Wales, and there's a few, but then once you get down to Sky Florence, there's no way to tell who they are. There's no lore. Now, it would be better to have none than to have some finished and some unfinished. So we need to create lore or just delete the lore from everyone. Also, we could add more music and sound effects to the game, and this I'll have to kind of think about what needs to be added. That can be figured out later. As well as changing the textures, for example, this grass that we mentioned earlier. Now there's a few other options, but I think we've got our hands full for now, don't you? So the first thing I want to figure out is how to change the settings without having to change your game mode. I've got a good idea for this. Let me switch to get my game mode so I can actually do stuff. In Space Aces, when you are a sniper, you wear a helmet or a pumpkin that makes you look like you're aiming at a target, or down a sight, I should say. Now that's pretty neat, but we can also use it as a block that's pure black. And if I put this on my head, there's some transparency there. So what we can do with this block is use it as a background for stuff, but more importantly, we have the jack-o'-lantern, which already has this black texture, and we get a second face. That's the face of the pumpkin. And we could use this as some sort of computer. Now, I don't know if you're catching my drift, but what we can do, maybe put that computer somewhere there, add a button. When you press the button, it takes you to the settings. And that's the easiest way to do it with making it look pretty interesting. Now, where this computer goes, we can figure that out. But for this lobby, I think we can just put it here with a button on it for now. Then all we have to do is put a command block. That's not how you do it. Then we can just put a command block right under the button, just like that. And that would be the absolute easiest way of doing it. And I think we're going to have to go with that because we're going to be pushed for time. But before we set up a whole bunch of coordinates, we need to move these far away so that when somebody spectates, they don't see all of this. So we're going to find a chunk far out and try to copy and paste this and see what happens. Now I'm going to make a backup. Always make a backup when you move stuff around in case something doesn't go right. But I'll be back when we're done with that. Okay, so I've moved things around and we've got to test it and see if everything works properly. So I've got my other account. He's going to help us test real quick. So it looks like the game realized that there's 2 players. I'll just pick a class. The classes will still work. I didn't change anything to them. Okay, here's the moment of truth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay, we're going to try again. I haven't changed anything since last time, but I'm not sure if it was just a thing that needs to reset. Okay. So blue is just not getting teleported. This is test number 3. I'm not so sure what exactly is causing the problem right now. I know that blue isn't being teleported. There's an rm equals 40 in there, and it was in a function file. And that was running for both blue and red. I deleted that, and then there's also... Okay, so that worked. But it didn't teleport us to the game. So tag equals... Okay, so we both got the tag. Yeah. I'm testing this at 10 chunks because that is what's required on Realms, or that is what Realms is set at. So if it's less than 10, it should still work. Okay, yet another test, and I'm not feeling good about it. These are not working. They're kind of aggravating. They're making me angry. And the map didn't load. Okay, another test. My solution is kind of just messing around with stuff. I took away the thing that kills all of the entities in between maps. And hopefully that's... Yeah, you can see I get... You can see I get the effect, the potion effect. But this is not teleporting because who knows why. So the problem is if you're not close enough to the armor stand, it can't trigger a pressure plate. That's the way I'm understanding it right now. Because if I'm here, I ran the command and the map didn't get loaded. Well, there's nothing here. The only command that runs is this one because it, well, it shouldn't actually. None of these run. This is really a strange problem. I'm gonna restart the realm and see if that, or the world, and see if that works. So let's try again. See, that didn't teleport. It didn't reset the map, even though... Even if you walk or fly over here... Did it reset? Oh, I see how it works. Okay, so if I teleport a random map, so that time it teleported Hot Planet, which is the another one, it worked. Okay. I know. The world border was different. Okay. The world border did not include that. Or the spawn radius, or whatever you want to call it. It's a really interesting fact that I completely forgot about. That's weird. It didn't... Oh, it's because I'm in survival. There we go. Okay, this time it should work. At least up until the map generation. And I'm pretty sure it'll work past that, because what else is there to mess up? I mean, when you die that could mess up, but other than that I'm not entirely sure. Really? Oh, I messed that up. Okay, I'm gonna get this figured out. Oh, okay. Grats. Okay, so here I've got the most fun way to generate a circle. Oh, that's not gonna work. Oh my goodness. They all went over here. And the more they push each other, the more circle is generated. Okay. So you can see kind of the outline of this circle. It's going to be really big. Radius of 50 blocks. Or 40, I should say. 40 on the inside, 50 on the outside. But you can just see it slowly push all of the villagers. And I'm building this so that I can have a space station to select your classes in, and this is actually going to be where you keep all the commands for the most part for team deathmatch. Okay, I'm pretty sure everything's well cleaned up and ready to be tested. So we've got the countdown. That's working. Hey, it worked. Now I've also finished Team Deathmatch, so let's look at that. In a future episode, we might figure out how to make this look a little bit better, because this is the map down there, and we want it to be somewhat pleasing instead of just a big black box. And here we go. Took its time, but it worked. So I'm completely done moving these 3 game modes. This is on a backup, by the way. I moved them all to their own locations. So let's take a look at what they look like now. We've got these sea lantern things that are pretty ugly, but normally you wouldn't see them unless you're spectating. You've got this over here, and over here you've got this, and this was the lobby. That's the lobby, and the spaceship over here is the lobby. If I go into spectator, that's what it looks like inside. This is what this one looks like inside, and this is what this one looks inside. Now we're going to compare those to all of the work that I've done in the new lobbies and locations. So first let's check out Duel. The inside of the lobby is the same, but if I go into spectator, you'll see we've got that spaceship, the giant map, and you've got this spaceship. The trick that I use is I put all of the commands in the second spaceship, which you cannot see from over anywhere as a spectator. And here's the map. So yeah, there's no commands at all whatsoever. You can see this, but that's unavoidable pretty much. I guess you could set block it, but... So now let's look at the donut, I like to call. Here's the lobby. This is for team deathmatch. You can pick your class here. The map is here. And I think this donut looks really cool. These are going to be just different rooms for potential things that you can change with the map. I think I'll just put that in here. And this still has a problem that we can solve later, but if I fly around, you can see all of the commands are gone, except for these, which I'll just delete anyways. And I put all of those in this room of the donut. So you've got your chambers for joining the game and whatnot. Let's take a look at the setback. And for the setback, I built, with the help of others, I built this ship. And really it's supposed to look like a fleet of them. Here's the lobby. I'm not very happy with the way the signs are set up, they're more just temporary. But the commands are hid in all of these ships. They're not hid in this one because I think it's too far away. And then we've got the chambers for spawning. So these little rooms used to reselect your class. So it appears that we've done quite a bit of work. And well, we have. But we haven't even started converting this to something that is realms worthy. What we need to do is check the guidelines to give us kind of an idea. And I'll read them for you real quick, parts of them. I might overlay it on the screen. So this would classify as a mini game. So we need to make sure they are self-contained, repeatable, cooperative, or competitive game within Minecraft. Okay, so that's what it is. It's competitive, and it's repeatable. Doesn't need any outside stuff. Minigames are game mode 0, difficulty 1. Okay. So that doesn't really affect anything. Hostile spawns are all on. That's fine. Because we just turned it off with the game rule. These games are meant to be played and reset continuously. If the server is inactive and no one is online, a minigame map will reset. If you need the map to be preserved between play sessions, you may want to submit it as an adventure. So we go back and look at our XP system. You are awarded XP every time you win and every time you play a game. More for winning, just a little bit for playing. So this kind of results in a problem with resetting the map. But I think if you just play it for half an hour, you'll get to level like 20 or something. So it'll give people kind of an incentive every time they play, rather than just once they hit a certain level, they're done. So I think we don't need to worry about this yet. And if you guys have any ideas for such a thing, I'm open for suggestions. Okay, so we go back to it. Your lobby should be clean and clear and have a way to start the game quickly. Additional options are fine, but shouldn't slow down the ability to jump into the game too much. So I'm not so sure about this one. I think we're fine the way it is, because you can just click the sign and it's ready to go. But again, if you guys have any complaints, you think it's too slow, 30 seconds loading time is too slow or something, I don't know. This is kind of more, there's no exact guidelines to follow. It's more just kind of an idea that you want to have about your map. Where it makes sense, games should not artificially limit the starting condition to 2+ player or people. Some games are still fun, so this doesn't. You can't play this with one person. It has to be played with 2 people. So that's kind of ruled out. Where it makes sense, make sure to add configuration options. A game that goes to 25 kills may be appropriate with 10 players, but may drag on and force players to manually quit in a 2-player game. And this is a thing that I've kind of prepared for, and I'm ready to make it, update it, I guess. And we'll do that at a future time. In a minigame, no one has operator permissions, except the owner, which is an operator with level 0, and it goes on. So we can't do anything. And it says control panels normally designed to be used by operators may need to be updated to allow any player to use them. And this is a problem that I need to fix. So I've got that written down. That's the atlas.minecraft suggestions for minigames. And I'm going to read the Reddit suggestions now. Our quality standard means no bugs. So a lot of testing. 100% feature complete. Yeah. And 100% playable in the current version of Minecraft Java. This is a problem with 1.13 coming up. I know I'm going to have to update it. And as you all know, 1.13 has vast changes to the command block system, and that's just not going to be easy to fix. Hopefully I can import them all into a single file and then run a script or something that changes all of the commands all at once. Okay. Preferences given to maps with original concepts. Maps emulating other games or brands may be ineligible for publishing. Doesn't apply really. Compare the quality of your map with a list of realms content found on the Minecraft wiki. If you haven't already used your realms trial, you can activate it by following these instructions. And I think we're going to do that at a later time. Just go in and look at a few mini games, how they're set up, to get a general sense of how simplistic we need to make the lobbies and so on. And that's pretty much it for the suggestions. So we still have a lot of work. You have no idea. I've probably spent 5 hours doing just this little thing, and I'm gonna have to spend a lot more time, but it'll be worth it, I hope. So we really do have a lot of work ahead of us, don't we? I'm a little nervous about getting it done within a reasonable amount of time. I know I'm going to have to update it to 1.13 because that's coming right around the corner. So we're going to run into a few issues, not just some. But I hope we can fix them and make this map realms worthy. And thanks for watching.